Ford once made a car that was powered by a literal nuclear reactor that could blow up at any second, which killed thousands of people. Okay, I'm joking. That was only a concept car and no one actually died. However, there are cars that exist that are even weirder than this one. So I'm gonna put them all on a tier list of cars that should exist to cars that should have never been made. Starting with the Chrysler Turbine car. It was created by this guy named Elwood Engel, and he looked at the standard car and thought regular engines were lame. So he designed the car to have a $100,000 jet engine as a replacement. This was because they could use things like perfume and tequila to power the car somehow. And unlike the Ford Nucleon, this was actually a real car. But less than a year after production, they had to shut it down because who would have guessed it? Having a $100,000 engine might be a little cost heavy. I don't know why Elwood thought this was a good idea, but the car does look pretty cool, so I'll give it an A tier. However, this doesn't even compare to the scooter car. This guy named Michael Reeves decided he would take those public electric scooters that no one uses, stick 4 of them together with duct tape, cardboard, and a Wii remote, and drive across LA to deliver it to his crippled friend without getting ran over. Who, by the way, is the whole reason this car was made. Because his friend actually broke his arm using an electric scooter, so Michael was gonna make them safer by making it into a super unstable car. Because that's safer, apparently. It uses a boot to push it when it gets stuck for some reason, and Michael spent like a month or 2 to code the car to actually move with the Wii remote. It's definitely not legal, it's definitely not fast, and it definitely shouldn't have been made. And by the way, this is the same guy who made a $100,000 robot dog P beer. If Michael makes this thing P beer, I'm gonna move it up to S. The Dymaxion car was supposed to be the future. Its uniquely bomb-shaped body, its V8 engine, and its design to be on 3 wheels was supposed to be for something greater. The creator wanted to make this car to be super efficient, however, making it on 3 wheels legit makes no sense. Well, that's because it wasn't supposed to be a car, but a plane. If I'm gonna be honest though, I would not imagine seeing this thing leave the ground even if it did have wings. And all of this made me curious why more cars with 3 wheels don't exist nowadays. And that's because in 1933, the car literally fell onto its side and killed the driver. Yeah, it's like a C tier. The Pontiac Fiero. This was a V6, fuel efficient, pretty cool looking car. When it was created, there were virtually no problems with this car. Oh yeah, except for the part where it would just catch on fire. I prefer not being burned alive. Now, I want you to think of an egg. Now, I want you to think of that egg with 3 wheels. Now, take that egg and make it electric. Well, that's exactly what the...
L'œuf électrique.
Its name is literally translated to the electric egg. This was a car made during World War II when fuel was scarce and all being used in the war. So they needed a car that couldn't rely on that. But once this car started to get mass produced after the war, the public wasn't ready for it because it was quote unquote ahead of its time. I mean, if you look at it, that was definitely not the reason. The Nissan S Cargo is just like really ugly. Its name's also a pun because Nissan S Cargo and S Cargo, like the snails in France. This is basically just a glorified Japan delivery van that looks pretty ugly. So as long as you're one of the 98% of people in the world who don't live in Japan, you'll luckily never have to see this car. D tier. The Tata Nano is even smaller. Its purpose, however, is way deeper than you would even expect. Ratan Tata was an Indian philanthropist who saw all the really low-income families forced onto dangerous motorcycles because it's all they could afford. So he set the price for the car to be around 2 to 3 grand, or 100,000 rupees, finally making an affordable car for struggling Indian families. However, the only problem was, this car sucked. There wasn't any room for air conditioning. It has the minimum requirements to keep you safe while driving it, and it could catch on fire at any moment, not making it legal in the US. And plus, it was literally known as the poor man's car. So most people would rather die on a motorcycle before driving a rinky-dinky car that basically tells everyone that they're broke. I see what Ratan was trying to do, but it's going in F. On the topic of really small cars, the Peel P50 is smaller than one of those toy cars 3-year-olds use their legs to move. Measuring at 54 inches long and 39 inches wide, this 3-wheel car has a Guinness World Record for its size. It's the smallest car you can get in the world, and its top speed is a whopping 38 miles per hour.
No, that's not gonna work. I'll have to, hang on, leg. Yes, leg first and then, yeah!
And this car can be up to 170 grand. Probably because of how rare it is, but this car can't even go on most roads without getting ran over, so I don't even know why you'd want it. It's also like 130 pounds, which means that I could literally bench this car. I mean, Eddie Hall, the strongest man alive, owns one, so he might actually be repping it out at the gym. It's like a B-tier car, and if I want, I can at least like bench press it. The Changli Neica is the cheapest car in the world. It's around $1,000 and it's designed for 30 to 40 mile-an-hour travels, and it isn't even legal in the US. It was also created to be environmental friendly by using lithium batteries and solar energy. Now, every car you've seen so far slightly resembles a car, but here's John Eastwood's steam engine. Now, Big John actually has a YouTube channel of his own featuring this monstrosity, and there isn't really information I could find about how he got it, why he would ever want this. However, it's essentially a mix between a train and a car, and it couldn't be any slower. I mean, look at how much it's holding up traffic, and this was built like 200 years ago. It's so heavy it can't even go over certain bridges without it collapsing, and trying not to have the steam engine collapse itself is also a big problem. Maintaining it makes it barely worth keeping because of how much oil you need to change, checking on the boiler, and just cleaning it. I don't even know if you can consider this a car. Now, a car that at first glance looks normal is called the Thing, or the Model 1A1, or the Volkswagen Thing. This car has no clue what it actually is. It went under several names. It became a military vehicle, then a truck, and then eventually just a regular car. And because of all the changes, Volkswagen had a hard time fitting safety regulations. Marketing was also really difficult because it was a car that said, oh, you can go anywhere with it, but it was agonizingly slow.
This is a 1974 Volkswagen Thing. It's slow. It's funny looking, it has no amenities, and it has absolutely no safety equipment of any kind.
I mean, this dude's loving it. It's a slightly confusing car compared to the rest, but I'll give it a B tier. The Tango T600, another really small car. Now, this car is actually really small in width, but it's just as tall as a regular car. And surprisingly, it's faster than a regular car. It's powered by an electric motor that can make its top speed 170, which is like 50 miles an hour more than an average car. Can you imagine losing a drag race against this car? I mean, for how fast it is, it's a pretty solid car, as long as it's not too expensive. Okay, that's literally the price of a house. In 1997, GM wanted to make a car that would innovate the whole space of vehicles. Their idea was an outdoorsy type car that would make something great for Gen X. It had room for a blow-up mattress, a tent in the back, and a roof rack for something like a bicycle. GM knew this car wasn't going to be for everyone, but they had an idea that there was a demographic of people who would purchase the car. So in 2000, they released the Pontiac Aztek. They needed 30,000 people to buy this car to break even, and in their first year, they only got 27,000. But why? Well, from every source I could find on the internet, it was literally just because it was ugly. That's every single complaint about this car and why it underperformed. Even in Breaking Bad, Walter White drives one of these things and is always having problems with it, cementing this car's legacy as terrible. GM made a huge risk making this car because they tried innovating and doing something new. And even though it didn't work, sometimes that's what you have to do if you want to be successful. And not every risk will. I think that this car is something that you and I can look up to. But that's not going to change the fact that it's ugly. And lastly, the Cybertruck. Now, I don't want to get controversial or anything, but if people think the Pontiac Aztek is ugly, then you already know where this one's going.